Army, the British pulled a flanking maneuver, and they had to basically run for their lives out of New York. The British Army chased them all the way across New Jersey until they crossed the Delaware River in the mud, in the rain, in the snow, barely escaping the British Army. And then the British Army stopped and went into Winter's headquarters, figuring, well, we showed them a lesson. On the other side of the river was one man determined to make a difference. George Washington had his men pull up every boat that they could get that would float. And in the dark of the night, on Christmas, they crossed that river. It was choked with ice. It was a desperation hope that they could catch the enemy by surprise. And they did, and thus were fought the battles of Trenton and Princeton, which saved the campaign for the season. They went into winter quarters at Valley Forge. Men died of frostbite, exposure, disease. Men died so we can have the freedom that we enjoy today. The freedoms that are being threatened even now by Washington. It's kind of ironic. But never underestimate the power of the determined individual. But each of us can be more powerful if we work as a team. Now, an army must have leaders, just like a football team must have a quarterback. But not everyone on the team is the quarterback. You know, I played some football back in the day. I was not only small, but I was slow too. And so that meant that I ended up at right guard. But if the right guard didn't block his man, the quarterback couldn't throw the pass. The running back was going to get nowhere unless the blockers opened the hole. You've got to think of what you can do. And the important thing to remember is you're not Rush Limbaugh, you're not Ann Coulter, you're not a congressman, you're not a senator. But if you can't do big things, do small things, and do everything you can, because it's vital that you do everything you can. And if you will concentrate on the things that you can do, miracles start to happen. It's amazing. Like I said, right now, Henry Waxman and the conservative Blue Dogs on that committee are just like this at each other. You remember just a few months ago, they were all united for hope and change. And now they're at each other's throats. You help make that happen. Now, a lot of people today ask the question that brought me to Washington 12 years ago. You know, that was one of the reasons I came to Washington, to find the answer to a question that a lot of my friends have been asking down in Georgia. And pardon me, ladies, but what the hell is wrong with those Republicans in Washington? They come down here, they campaign as a conservative. They tell us they believe that everything that we believe. Then they go up there and they don't get anything done. They can't seem to pay attention to what we're trying to tell them we, the people, want. Well, what happens? What happens is they get up there and they start thinking they're better than the people who put them there. Yeah. They get up there and they start listening to the lobbyists. They start listening to the think tanks. They start listening to the editorials in the newspaper. They start to listen to everything except what the people back home elected them to accomplish. Let's talk about accomplishment. Ronald Reagan said, you can accomplish much so long as you don't care who gets the credit. And what happens so often, and what I've seen happen over and over again, people want the credit. That's all they care about. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to take the risks. But they want their name up there on that wall. They want to be praised. They want to be, famous. They want to be rich. But they don't want to do the work. And you get into a situation where you have too many chiefs and not enough Native Americans or indigenous people or whatever you're supposed to call them nowadays. I was remarking on my way down here, I was telling my son, it's amazing, that nowadays, if you sing Hail to the Redskins, that's a hate crime.
That's okay by me. I'm a Giant fan.
You get into a situation where everybody wants to be a rock star, but nobody wants to be the guy setting up the amps and the lights and the mic stands. Folks, you can't get anything done if all you're concerned about is who's the vice chairman of the committee. I've seen this. It's amazing. If any of y'all know anything about local Republican Party politics, people will go, war to the knife and knife to the hilt over the question of who's going to be the treasurer of the local committee. You can't get anything done that way. Somebody's got to be the quarterback. Somebody's got to lead. And one of the most important things that you can do as an individual is to identify leaders. If you see somebody that knows what they're doing, that fights and wins over and over again, that's your leader. Lift that person up. Praise them. And if somebody starts getting envious and backstabbing on them, you know who your leader is, and you know who the enemy is. Don't let them take out your leaders, and don't let them decide for you who your leaders are.